42-year-old Coletta Johnson is behind bars for allegedly killing her husband. At around 2:20 a.m. on the 27th of December, the authorities responded to a home in the 17,000 block of Veronica Avenue in East Point, Michigan, after receiving a call about a shooting. When officers arrived at the residence, they found Coletta frantically trying to provide aid to a 43-year-old husband who had been shot in the back of the head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police said that Coletta shot her husband during a domestic dispute at their home. Officers located several firearms inside the house, including a pistol used in the shooting, and several other items of evidence. She was taken into custody without incident. Coletta is charged with murder and a firearm felony. She was booked into the Macomb County Jail with a bond set at $1 million cash. If released, she must wear a GPS tether and is prohibited from having contact with her children who were at the home at the time of the shooting. Her husband's name has not been publicly released. If convicted of the murder charge, Coletta faces up to life in prison. Police are investigating the fatal shooting of 30-year-old DeAndrea Woods and 25-year-old Mackenzie Lashley Childers in Springfield, Missouri during the week. At around 10:15 p.m. on Wednesday, the 28th of December, the authorities responded to a property at 2203 North Link Avenue to complete a welfare check on a man who had facial injuries. When police arrived at the scene, they found DeAndrea in the driveway of a home suffering from several gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital in a critical condition, where he was later pronounced dead. Authorities said he was associated with the address neighbouring the house the police responded to. When police approached the other residence at 2209 North Link Avenue, they found an infant that appeared to be alone inside. Officers entered the home to check on the child and found Mackenzie dead inside from multiple gunshot wounds. The infant was taken to a hospital to be treated for minor injuries and was then released to a family member. A suspect has not been identified in the double homicide, but the investigation is ongoing. Mackenzie's family paid tribute to her and said she was a beautiful, bright blue-eyed girl. As she grew up, she dreamt of becoming a singer-songwriter. Her voice has always been so beautiful. She loved hard, and she was always there when you needed her. Most of all, she loved her 3 children and would do anything for them and her family. Her heart was big and bold. No, she wasn't perfect, but she was our girl. Her life was taken. We don't know why, but we are in disbelief, and the hurt in our hearts is unfathomable. A man has died following a shooting in Portsmouth, Virginia on Tuesday evening. At around 6:10 p.m. on the 27th of December, the authorities responded to the 2700 block of Watts Avenue after receiving reports of a male acting suspiciously in the area. When officers arrived at the scene, they found 37-year-old Corey Harris who had sustained a fatal gunshot wound. Investigators believe that the shooting happened near the Quick Shop in the 2600 block of Columbus Avenue, down the street from where Corey was found. Investigators say the shooting was an isolated incident, and they're not looking for any suspects at this time. Police added that the shooting was not a suicide, and they're currently investigating a person of interest in connection with the incident. 41-year-old Jane Innocent is behind bars after being accused of incest and impregnating a 13-year-old girl after allegedly raping their child multiple times. The girl went to St. Mary's Medical Center, located at 901 45th Street in West Palm Beach, Florida, after she started experiencing stomach pains. While there, she took a pregnancy test and discovered that she was about 6 weeks pregnant. She told hospital staff that she had been raped by Jean on 4 separate occasions. The victim said that in November, Jean entered her room, pulled her pants down, and told her to give him 10 minutes before he assaulted her. Jean allegedly stopped and said never mind, after the girl said no and cried. During a monitored call by police, the girl told Jean that she had been vomiting, and they were going to give her a pregnancy test at the hospital. Jean said to the girl that she couldn't be pregnant because her period wasn't due for another week, and told her to say no to the test. He then told her to make up a relationship with another boy, and that he'll go to jail if she told on him. Detectives later interviewed Jean, who said that voodoo caused him to have intercourse with the girl, and he only recalled doing it on 2 occasions instead of 4. Jean said that the first time he raped the girl in his bedroom, it only lasted a few seconds. He said on the second occasion, he told the girl he needed 10 minutes, and said this is the last time I'm going to ask. He said that the girl had tears coming from her eyes and she said okay. He then climbed on top of her and had intercourse. Jean was arrested on the 19th of December, and is held at the Palm Beach County Jail without bond. He faces multiple charges, including battery, incest, and impregnation of a child. On the 20th of December, 36-year-old Jessica Trefethen of Stockton Springs, Maine was sentenced to 47 years in prison for fatally beating her 3-year-old son Maddox Williams. Maddox died on the 20th of June 2021 at Waldo County General Hospital in Belfast. He was taken there by his mother and grandmother after complaining of stomach pain. He became unresponsive in the hospital parking lot and was unable to be saved. Jessica was arrested on the 23rd of June 2021, 3 days after she took Maddox to the hospital. Sherry Johnson, Maddox's grandmother, who's also Jessica's mother, testified about the day he died. Sherry said she found her grandson covered from head to toe in bruises after she removed a sheet to say goodbye to him. In the weeks leading up to Maddox's death, Sherry said she noticed he had lost 2 of his baby teeth and often had bruises on his forehead, arms and legs. She said she saw Jessica backhand the boy in the mouth, but did not slap her other children the same way. Jessica would also punish the boy by making him lay on the couch with his face toward the wall. She would then tell him that she didn't want to look at his ugly face and that it was exactly like his father. Jessica called Sherry on the morning that Maddox later died and asked her to come to the house to see if she thought he needed to go to the emergency room. When Sherry arrived at her daughter's home, Maddox was on the couch with his mother. She recalled that Maddox was pale and greyish looking, and they took him to the hospital. At around 2:30 p.m, Maddox wasn't breathing when his mother sought medical help at the emergency room, and he was later pronounced dead. Jessica told medical staff that Maddox got injured after being caught in a dog leash, dragged into a rock, and then getting kicked by his 8-year-old sister. A medical examiner said that Maddox suffered multiple blunt force traumas, including bruising all over his body, a fractured spine, ruptured bowel, bleeding on his brain and abdomen, and 3 teeth had been knocked out. Dr. Liam Funte, the Deputy Chief Medical Examiner, stated that the cause of death was due to blunt force trauma to his abdomen, and his injuries were consistent with battered child syndrome, and that the injuries were not accidental. The doctor testified that these injuries would require a significant amount of force, the force that one might see in a punch, or more likely a stomp. Jessica stayed at the hospital 10 minutes after Maddox was pronounced dead, but then she went into hiding to avoid the authorities. She emptied her bank account and stopped using her phone, debit and credit cards to try and avoid investigators. Sherry was charged with hindering apprehension after police say she agreed to lie about Jessica's whereabouts. Maddox's older half-sister told the jury that her mother slapped Maddox in the face and threw him from a motel bathroom onto a hard floor. She also testified that she had seen her mother slap Maddox in the face more than once. Maddox had been in his paternal grandmother's care, but the Department of Health and Human Services returned the child to Jessica before he was killed. When Jessica was arrested on the 23rd of June 2021, she said, "Let's do this." On the 17th of October this year, Jessica was convicted of depraved indifference murder, where she was seen shaking her head and tearing up as the clerk read the jury's unanimous guilty verdict. The 47-year sentence imposed on Jessica on the 20th of December will likely see her spend the rest of her days behind bars.